covering some material as well as leading you in a few exercises. One of the exercises will require a piece of paper, pencil, pen, some colored pencils or markers, whatever you have. So please feel free to go grab those materials while we're still waiting to kind of get started. As Lisa also mentioned, we're going to be splitting into groups later. So if you haven't already, please check in the chat box, whether you are junior high or high school. And we'll just give it a few seconds before we get started.
Okay, so we are going to ask you, we're going to give you a journal prompt, and we invite you to reflect on what you are carrying into this space, or what you might be holding on to in your mind, in your body, in your soul, or on your heart. You may break out your piece of paper and pen at this time, and I'm going to ask you to just take a couple of deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I just want you to check in with yourself. And as you finish breathing, just go ahead and complete the following sentence. Everything would be great if it weren't for. And we'll give you a few minutes to do that. So it looks like I have a few people that that have put in the chat box if they're in junior high or high school. So can you, I think I have a few more that have not. So if you have not typed in to the chat box, whether you're in junior high or high school, we want to get you in the right group. So go ahead and put in the chat box. Great, thank you, Dale. I think we're just waiting for a few others to type in whether they're in junior high or high school, and we'll get you into the right group. Perfect. Thank you, Tyler.
All right, well, if you're still, writing that prompt Lisa shared, everything would be great if it weren't for, continue writing. But I kind of want to explain that this exercise was just designed to get you thinking about what you are experiencing now during the pandemic and all this craziness. We are all going through a lot right now, living under difficult and stressful circumstances due to COVID. Many of us are experiencing a roller coaster of reactions that might leave us feeling like we're going a bit crazy. People are experiencing a lot of mixed emotions, sadness, boredom, anger, a lot of fear, worry, and anxiety, and also a lot of heartbreak. And this heartbreak is what we're going to be talking about today, because this heartbreak we are experiencing is actually grief and loss. We tend to think of grief as solely death, losing a loved one, but it is actually a normal reaction to a loss of any kind, whether it's losing a pet, a divorce, breaking up with girlfriend, boyfriend, losing a job, changing schools, moving. Those are all just a few examples of losses that people do grieve. And during these last couple months, we have all experienced a great deal of loss. The pandemic has stolen our daily routines, communicating with friends and family in person, the remainder of your guys' school year, spring sports seasons that go along with school, other activities, clubs, proms, graduations, graduation parties, just a lot of missed memories. We're also grieving things we haven't lost yet. And these are future losses like upcoming summer concerts, holidays, 4th of July, other special occasions like weddings, or any other summer plans that you had that are now changed. Our entire world has been turned upside down and put on pause. In addition to dealing with all these things we missed out on, all the loss, we are also struggling with a lot of fear and uncertainty of what the future holds. Many of us have a lot of unanswered questions regarding what to expect about the near and far future. You know, will we be on campus this fall or learning remotely from home? Will we have to wear masks and participate in social distancing if school does resume? When will I be able to hang out with friends again, or hang out with more than just one or two friends? When will we be able to play sports and just not do practices? How long will all these restrictions last? When will life go back to a sense of normal? And some of the most fear comes from worrying, will I or any of my loved ones catch the virus? And if so, are we going to survive?
Okay, so we're just going to show a quick clip that just kind of talks about what it's like to hold grief, and some ways in which we can be there for other people, and just to acknowledge what grief is really like. So I'm going to go ahead and hold on a second. Let's see. Pause. I'm going to share my screen in a second here when I get this up and running. Escape. Give me just a minute to share my screen. And here we go. Thank you for your patience. Stop share. Let me get this at the forefront here. I'm going to give me just a minute. Share my screen. I'm going to share my desktop just because if I share the video, I'm not able to wait. Share and play.
What is 3 plus 4? Check your answer here to earn fun pets. 3 plus 4.
Thanks for hanging on there.
So what do we do about all the pain we see in the world? All the pain we feel in our own lives? And why does it seem like our best efforts to help somebody feel better always backfire? I've been studying intense grief and loss, baby death, violent crimes, accidents, suicides, and natural disasters. And I've learned something really interesting. Cheering people up, telling them to be strong and persevere, helping them move on, it doesn't actually work. It's kind of a puzzle. It seems counterintuitive, but the way to help someone feel better is to let them be in pain. This is true for those giant losses and the ordinary, everyday ones. Educator Parker Palmer writes, The human soul doesn't want to be advised or fixed or saved. It simply wants to be witnessed exactly as it is. He's talking about acknowledgement here. Acknowledgement is this really amazing multi-tool. It makes things better even when they can't be made right. For example, somebody's struggling. Their baby died, or there's been a bad accident, or their mom got sick, and they're just sad. It's way more helpful to join them in their pain than it is to cheer them up. But here's what we tend to do instead. You have 2 other children, you need to find joy in them. Or, you know what you need? You just need to go out dancing and shake it off. Or, I felt really sad once. Did you try acupuncture? We're not really sure what to do with someone's pain, so we do what we've been taught. We look on the bright side. We try to make people feel better. We give them advice. It's not like this is nefarious. I mean, we try to cheer people up because we think that's our job. We're not supposed to let people stay sad. The problem is, you can't heal somebody's pain by trying to take it away from them. Now, acknowledgement does something different. When a giant hole opens up in someone's life, it's actually much more supportive to acknowledge that hole and let pain exist. It's actually a radical act to let things hurt. It goes against what we've been taught. In order to really support you, I have to acknowledge that things really are as bad as they feel to you. If I try to cheer you up, you end up defending yourself and your feelings. If I give you advice, you feel misunderstood instead of supported. And I don't get what I want either, because I wanted you to feel better. It's pretty rare that you could actually talk somebody out of their pain. Rarely does the admonishment to look on the bright side actually heal things for someone. It just makes them stop telling you about their pain. It's so tempting to try to make things better. When somebody shares something painful, it's much more helpful to say, "I'm sorry that's happening. Do you want to tell me about it?" To be able to say, "This hurts," without being talked out of it, that's what helps. Being heard helps. It seems too simple to be of use, but acknowledgement can be the best medicine we have. It makes things better, even when they can't be made right.
Okay, so that's just a little video that kind of talks about what we can do with our friends that may be feeling down or feeling this grief, and just to acknowledge that for ourselves. So with all this uncertainty, this causes grief to become frozen. It can feel like we're stuck in quicksand.
What do you do and how do you respond when someone you love is experiencing the loss of a loved one? That's coming up next.
That is. Hold on one second.
Hey everyone, my name is Alan Parr. Thank you all so much for tuning into The Beat. Today we're answering the difficult question, how do you comfort someone who has experienced a...
Okay, I apologize. That was my my YouTube that I did not turn off. So I apologize. So it can make us, this grief can make us feel powerless. And if we experience, and we have these experiences and feelings of powerlessness in the past, if we have experienced this before in our bodies will remember this experience as well. So people do not know what to do, or they don't know that they are grieving and how to begin to move forward with life. Life as we know it has changed drastically. We're left to make sense of these changes and these losses and how they will affect our lives. First, we invite you to accept your experience as valid and real. This includes all of the differing emotions and feelings that come with it, even the complexity of conflicting emotions. You may feel joy and sadness at the same time. You may feel connected, more connected to your families, more connected to your siblings, and maybe even less connected to your friends. These can be conflicting emotions. So then we want you to actually have to have the capacity to feel the uncomfortable feelings and the body sensations in order to move forward. This takes a lot of work and energy, but this grieving process is actually what allows us to heal and connect back to our hearts. When we connect back to our hearts, we can make a clearer link between what we're feeling and what we need. Our feelings help us understand what it is that we need. If we think about a baby who cries to have their mom or dad meet their need for food or a clean diaper or just to be held, determining our needs helps us shift and adjust to our new environment and our new normal. One of the things that we can do is find meaning during times of crisis. That can be hard and may not happen until years later or years after the event takes place. But finding meaning in our day-to-day is possible every day and essential to surviving difficult circumstances. So Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor of several concentration camps. He was an Austrian neurologist and psychiatrist, and he is also the author of Man's Search for Meaning. He said, we who lived in concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offered sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of the human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given circumstances, to choose one's own way. So some of the practical ways we can find meaning in difficult circumstances is we can serve and care for others who are also in need. We can work on relationships with family members. We can reconnect with friends who we've lost touch with. And then another one is we can choose to use the time sheltering in place or being at home a little bit more, our circle being smaller, to accomplish important goals, learn a new skill, or take up a new hobby.
So at this time, we are going to end the recording and break off into those small groups we were talking about to give us a chance to talk about how the pandemic and all this loss has affected you guys personally.